In this video, we will show you how to bleed the brakes on this Nissan Altima. Vehicles will have a different bleeding sequence. This is the sequence for this particular vehicle. Okay friend, let's get started on our job. Nissan sequence starts at the negative battery terminal. Use a 10mm to remove this. Once you feel as though you have that loose enough, we'll just go ahead and take hold of that and set it aside so it's making no contact. The next thing they would want you to do would be to disconnect the ABS module all the way back here on the firewall on the passenger side. It does have an electrical connector. It's a little bit difficult to access. If you have a hard time disconnecting that, you can just wait approximately 15-20 minutes to allow the capacitors to discharge. Once we've done that, let's make our way over to the master cylinder. Over at the master cylinder, we're going to remove the cap from this. Before we do, if you were to look along the top, you're going to see exactly what type of fluid you need to use. Right across here, it says only use .3 brake fluid. We'll open this up, give it a quick inspection. On the back side, there is a seal. You want to make sure it's soft and pliable. The next thing we'll do is continue on with a small angled pick. If you were to look down inside this hole, you're going to find that you have a screen filter. We'll just go ahead and pull that up and out of place so we can remove as much fluid from inside of this as possible. We'll give that screen a quick inspection. Make sure you don't see any debris lodged inside of it. Go ahead and clean it down and set that aside. At this point, we'll remove as much fluid from this as possible. Use a funnel. We'll top off the brake fluid with our .3 brake fluid. At this point, we can reinstall our screen in the area. Press that down and in. It's a good idea to reinstall a cap as well. We'll leave this on, but leave it loose. Once you've done that, the next thing you want to do is safely raise and support your vehicle. Now, if you're removing one wheel at a time, we're going to be starting on the right front. After we've done that, we'll move to the left front, back to the right rear, and then to the left rear. To remove your wheels, remove all of your 21mm lug nuts, and then the wheel. Once you have the wheel out of the way, the next thing that we'll want to do is continue on by removing our bleeder screw cover. This is typically made out of rubber. Let's go ahead and pry that right out of place. We'll just give this a quick squeeze, make sure it's soft and pliable, set it aside. The next thing we'll do is open up our bleeder screw. We want to make sure we can see a slow trickle of fluid coming out of this, so we're sure we do not have a clog in the bleeder screw itself. Use our 10mm for this. Once you see a trickle of fluid coming out of this, we'll continue on with a manual brake bleed. This is going to be easiest having a second person. One person out here, but the second person will be inside of the passenger compartment. We want that person to step on the brake pedal approximately 3 times and hold it on the 3rd time. Let us know they're holding. We'll open up the bleeder screw, watch the fluid come out, and then once they tell us it's on the floor, we'll go ahead and close up the bleeder screw, ask them to pump the brake pedal again, and we'll repeat this process until we see nothing but clean fluid coming out of this area. Now with that said, it's always a nice idea to have a collection receptacle so we can inspect that fluid. Go ahead and pump up the brake pedal, please. Go ahead and pump. I got a little bit of fluid coming out of this. Pump. Go ahead and pump. You can release the brake pedal. At this point, I can tell that I worked all the old brake fluid out of my system, and now I have new brake fluid coming through the line. Let's go ahead and bleed this brake one more time and double check for air bubbles inside the line. If we see any air, we need to continue the bleeding process until it's only fluid. Go ahead and pump up that brake pedal. I got no air on that. You can release the brake pedal. Now we can remove our bottle from the area here. Let's give this a quick inspection. Look at the color of that fluid. Double check to make sure that the bleeder screw is completely closed, clean up your mess, and reinstall your cover. Once you've done this, make your way over to the driver's side front wheel. Reinstall that cover. Perfect. Use a funnel. We'll top off the brake fluid with our .3 brake fluid. Let's make our way over to the driver's side. We'll remove the boot over here. I've got a lot of rust in my area. Let's break this free. Got a little trickle of fluid. Okay, go ahead and pump up that brake pedal, please. Pump. 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 All right, our fluid's looking pretty good here. Let's just check for air. Go ahead and pump up that brake pedal. We've got no air coming from this area. You can release the brake pedal. We'll clean up our mess, reinstall the cover, and then we'll top off our brake fluid before we make our way towards the right rear. Now keep in mind, with the screen in there, you want to make sure that you pour in your brake fluid slowly so it doesn't overflow on you. Now, once you fill that brake fluid, make your way back to the right rear. On the rear, we'll be using an 8mm to loosen up each one of these bleeder screws. Go ahead and remove the bleeder boot. We'll continue on with opening up the bleeder screw. I've got my trickle of fluid. We'll continue on with our bleeder bottle here. Go ahead and pump up the brake pedal, please. All right, the fluid right here looks like it's nice and clean. Let's go ahead and check it for air. Go ahead and pump up the brake pedal. No air in the system there. Clean your mess, reinstall your cover. Let's make our way to the left rear. Now at the left rear, let's repeat the process. Open up the bleeder screw. Little trickle of fluid. Go ahead and pump up the brake pedal, please.
Holding.
Pump.
Holding.
Pump.
Holding.
Looks like we've got some brand new fresh brake fluid making its way through here. Let's check for air. Go ahead and pump up the brake pedal, please.
Holding.
I don't see any air bubbles coming out of there. Let's go ahead and close this off and clean our mess. Now that we have the wheel up on here, the next thing we'll do is continue on with all 5 of our 21mm lug nuts. We can bottom this out, get the wheel back on the ground, and then we'll torque each of them to 83 foot-pounds in a crisscross manner. With the wheel safely on the ground, let's torque these in a crisscross manner. Torqued. Now, of course, you're going to want to make sure you do the exact same thing to each and every one of your wheels. Once you've done that, I'll meet you back up under the hood. The next thing we'll do is top off the brake fluid up to the maximum line on the master cylinder. We're doing this slowly because there is the screen in there. Let that work its way down. There we are. Once you're up to par, go ahead and reinstall the cap. If you did happen to spill any of your .3 brake fluid, it's important to make sure you clean it down with fresh water. Brake fluid is corrosive and it will eat the paint off of metal surfaces. Let's wipe this down. Let's reconnect our negative battery terminal. Go ahead and slide that down onto the battery as far as possible. Use your 10mm to make sure it's nice and tight. Okay friend, we showed you how to flush the brake fluid on your Nissan Altima. As you can tell, the brake fluid that came out of the vehicle is a lot dirtier than what it should look like right here. At this point, you can go ahead and pump up the brake pedal one last time and then take your vehicle for a road test. Aside from that, thanks for watching.
When only the best will do, demand TRQ. The only company that lets you view before you do. TRQ is committed to offering the highest quality aftermarket auto parts that are engineered for peace of mind. Thanks for using and viewing with TRQ.